got trouble. Right here in River City. With a capital T and that rhymes with P and that stands.
When a service becomes something that's delivered by so many offerings, so many people, becomes commoditized. The only difference between this service and that service is the price. And maybe a bell and whistle or two. Does this sound a little bit like our industry? With the advent of cloud services, with the software-based video bridging, all these things, it's made our world accessible to programmers who never got into our world before. The WebRTC that was mentioned this morning in the Polycom keynote presentation is one example of that. It puts the technology, the things that we've been struggling with all these years, into the hands of newbies, in one sense. But people who know how to build web applications. Now they can add video and audio and all this stuff to it. We're becoming commoditized, folks. Our services are becoming a commodity. The only difference now is the price. So, where did we start out with in the video conferencing? Here's our commodity, right? This is where it all started, the string and the tin can. What was our good? Well, here's one of our goods. Now Polycom put together that first view station back in, 1996? After a good becomes a service, we have video conferencing services, and then the experience of immersive telepresence. Telepresence is supposed to be an experience, but we're treating it as a service, folks. There's a better model, and this is what this is about. So what I'm saying is we're at the delivering services part. That is our economy. It's rapidly becoming commoditized, so that now if you are a business owner that offers these services, what do you do to distinguish yourself? I say, deliver a customer experience. It's of greater value. So, breaking down a customer experience, here is the framework from the book that applies to us. The 4 experience realms. Theming of an experience. Think of Disney. Think of the Rainforest Cafe. How many of you were in the class on Monday morning? It was Andy Howard who mentioned Vodafone. They themed their video conference room in order to encourage the idea that this is going to reduce travel as an airplane. They had stewardesses dressed up outside to escort you in. I don't know what the room looked like, but if they made it look like the inside of an airplane, it would have been perfect. That's what I'm talking about, creative themes. Mass customization is another aspect of this. Jonathan and I were talking about this a little bit yesterday. What makes a service and experience is the customization. But if we're talking about cloud services that now that people can sign up with a credit card and you can get literally hundreds of people signed up in an hour, you can't customize that experience unless you do it on a massive scale. And there are companies that do this. We don't do this. We need to figure out a way to do this, and it will drive the economy of our world. And then the concept of customer sacrifice as opposed to customer service. There are other aspects of the experience economy, but these are the ones that I'm highlighting today. So, the experience realms. One way to measure an experience is to take a look at the user's interaction with the experience itself. Are they actively involved in the experience? Is it a teacher and a student talking? Are they passively associated with it? Are they just watching and listening? And on the other scale, on the other axis, absorption versus immersion. When you absorb an experience, it comes into you. It's like watching television. When you are immersed in experience, well, I probably don't have to say anything else. We know that term real well. It's like an IMAX. When you cross these two axes, you get something really interesting. These 4 realms of experience. The first one, when you have an absorptive and active experience, it becomes educational. You're taking in information with a teacher or a movie or whatever, and the students are actively involved in this learning process. If the audience is not actively involved but passively involved, it's entertainment. It's a stand-up comedian. On the other side, when you're immersed in an experience and you're actively participating in it, it is escapist. It's like going on a safari. You're totally taken out of your world. And you're actively participating in it. Does this sound like our immersive telepresence rooms a little bit? A little bit? It's what they're supposed to be. It's an escapist world. It takes you out of that regular office. It puts you in this other space. The last part Passive participation in an immersive environment is an aesthetic element. This is like an art gallery. A good, motivating experience is one that has components of all of these wrapped up. So, if you're a service provider, think of how these elements relate and how, if you don't have anything escapist about what you do, this is where you can maybe add a little bit of interest and value to your offering. Here's one example of how you can use this tool to analyze a situation. Take, for instance, an educational environment, and all of a sudden the teacher becomes boring and the students are not actively engaged. We started out with the experience being predominantly educational. Now it has all the other elements to one degree or another. The escapist elements of where those students, are they huddled in a room somewhere else? Does it take them out of their everyday world? What are the elements in the room placed around that they don't interact with but that are part of it? Is there a flag? Is there acoustic treatment on the walls? Those are some aesthetic elements. But when that teacher loses the involvement, the active participation of the students, it moves it more into the entertainment realm. And if that teacher's not entertaining, we got a problem.
You got trouble. Oh, we got trouble. Right here in River City. Right here in River City. With a capital T in that.